This is a day in my life as a boarding student at Groton.
The first thing I do when I wake up is watch chapel online. On most days it's virtual, but sometimes, if I'm friends with a speaker or if my dorm is assigned to chapel, I get to go in person. My first class of the day is Expo. Instead of sitting around a Harkness table like English classes usually do, we all sit at socially distanced desks, and virtual students tune in on Zoom. Next up is my Media and Elections class, which funnily enough is in the same room as my Expo class. In this class, we discuss different forms of media and how they affect elections. Each of us has chosen one 2020 race to follow and analyze. I'm following the Georgia Senate race between David Perdue and Jon Ossoff. My last class of the day is AP Stat. The structure of this class thankfully has not been altered too much by COVID. We do, however, have virtual students. Before lunch, the whole school had a virtual community gathering in which we discussed in small groups how to deal with the polarizing upcoming election as a community. And finally, lunch. Here's the beautiful new dining hall. Each dorm has a separate table to eat at to reduce the potential spread of COVID. The generous dining hall staff sets out pre-made plates so that every student doesn't have to touch the same serving spoon. It was a beautiful day, so I decided to sit outside instead of at my dorm table. Here are me and my friends eating lunch. After class, my friend and I get ahead on work in an empty classroom. We also work on our common apps and college essays. The last part of my day is check-in. I'm a prefect in Banners, which is a third form dorm. Because we already eat as a dorm, all 24 of us are allowed to gather in the common room together to talk about our days. But, as always, we keep our masks on. So yeah, that was a day in my life at Groton. Thank you for watching!
Hi, my name is Ashling, and this is a day in my life as a sixth former at Groton.
Okay, so because I'm a day student, we have to drive to school. I'm gonna drive my brother, and it's 30 minutes away, so we're leaving at 7:10. We made it to school, we got our masks on, and we are about to get our temperature checked and fill out whether or not we have symptoms.
So Aiden got his temperature checked, we walked to the schoolhouse so we could watch chapel, and here's me with a few other day students watching it. We don't have roll call anymore, so I went straight to my first class, which was Calc A. All the virtual kids are there on Zoom, so they can still participate. Here's the beautiful notes I took, and then after every class we have to wipe down the tables because of COVID, so here's Letitia doing that. Then we had Flex Block, where I proctored the second form study hall before going to an all-school community gathering where we talked about the upcoming election so that as a school we are prepared for whatever happens. We don't have conference anymore, so I went straight to my third class, which was Media and Elections with Dr. Spring. Today we were watching a bunch of different political ads to discuss their effectiveness. I think it is one of the coolest classes I've ever taken at Groton, and it is so interesting, especially during an election year. And then it was finally lunch. You can see the tents where we get tested every Monday. We're each assigned a block to get hot food, but mine wasn't for a little bit, so I got the cold food today, which is still super good. You can eat inside by dorm, or you can eat outside with whoever, so here's me with all my friends. And then I did a little bit of Latin studying before going to my next class, which was physics. We were learning about circular motion and how it affects astronauts in space. And lastly, I had Expo. We put up everyone's essay on the screen so the virtual kids can see it. And it wasn't my essay, so it was a pretty chill class, but it's super fun. And normally right after classes I would go to cross country, but unfortunately it got rained out today, so you guys cannot see me do that. And then I had A block for dinner, which is the most elite block because you can go right after sports. They got rid of the spiral staircase, so here's me walking up the staircase in the back before we get to the dining hall, which is all spread out and socially distanced because of COVID, and you go to the back to get your food like normal. I hung out on the circle for a little bit. And lastly, I went to a Zoom featuring a professor from American University who talked about the election before doing homework for a few hours and finally driving home.